Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning.
All right, let's get this thing started. Just to introduce ourselves, I'm Cash Marietta, fourth generation firework fanatic, and let's talk fireworks.
I'm Steve Hauser. I've been in the fireworks industry for about 30 years. Worked as one of the distributors and designers and setup for the whole fireworks display crate program. What we're going to be talking about today is going to be a complete engineered system built from the ground up to work together, for a simple, easy, seamless, and safe professional quality fireworks display production for your hometown, for your fair festival, for your special event location. It's the 250th birthday of America this year, and we're excited to bring this product to you. And we hope that the next hour proves beneficial for everybody in their time and answering some of the questions about this great new concept and how to run a fireworks display show.
Morning, everyone. My name is Ed Vassell. I've been in the firework industry about 25 years, and I've been in just about every corner of this industry, including the display side of it, manufacturing, product design development, and real excited about the project that we're presenting here to you guys today.
To recap what we're going to talk about today, this is all about America's 250 this year. We turned 250 years old. It's a big, big deal. So Fireworks Display Crate came out with the Crate Fireworks system. We've been working on this for about 20 months now. I've been intricately involved in it, from sourcing the factories to working on the choreography. But we are a professional fireworks company combining 90 plus years of experience, all inclusive, with the manufacturer, us as the people on the grounds here in America. And we have spent a lot of time and thought putting this thing together because what we want to do is answer the question, how does my town have a fireworks display when display companies either charge too much or can't get here because they're already booked out? So what we've got here is a pre-programmed firing system electronic show to answer all your needs. And there's some highlights on this. We would direct everybody to go to the website fireworkscrate.com. You can download the full brochure there. It'll give you some good detail in a lot of the concepts we're going to discuss today. So I'm not going to read this whole thing. We've got it out there, but some of the high points, you can pick your show. There's different sizes. Choose your delivery date. We anticipate most people are going to want to receive this a couple weeks before the 4th of July. You don't want to wait till the last minute because you don't want to trust the shipping and get in that kind of a problem. What we have to do is get it out to you, make sure you've got it in enough time to get it, prepared and ready to go. The total setup for this thing is just going to take a single afternoon, probably, and we'll expound on that a little bit more. But it's ready to use. You unpack it, you plug it in, you test it, you press fire, and enjoy the show.
Yes, fireworks are the heart of America's most important celebrations, especially the 4th of July. For generations, they've brought communities together in a shared moment of pride. But today, for many small towns, rural communities, and local festivals, hosting a fireworks display has become increasingly difficult. Rising costs, safety concerns, and limited availability have pushed fireworks out of reach, and fireworkscrate.com was created to change just that.
So here's the overview of the 4 different show options. It's all powered by the Cobra firing system. You'll see that at the bottom of the page. This is one of the most widely recognized and widely used firing systems for conducting professional shows throughout the world, predominantly here in America. They're time proven. They're based here in America. And we have worked with them through the entire setup of this whole program to make sure that this whole thing works together seamlessly. Right up front, we're going to let you know we've got 4 different shows, 4 different price points. These shows are not small. Not even the small show. They come with 140 cues, 3,691 shots in show A. Show D, clear to the end, has 584 cues and over 17,000 shots. So this is a massive production. Everything comes sealed in crates, just like you see there on the graphic. These are high quality, heavy duty HDPE crates built specifically for this program. They protect the fireworks while they're in transit, not only from China to here, but from the warehouses stateside to your door. So we wanted you to know and see this right up front so that you kind of get an idea of what we're talking about. It's a master planned thing, completely engineered from the ground up and single sourced from one manufacturer specializing in display fireworks, a multi-generational company. They conduct shows all over the world, and most recently, their biggest one was the New Year's show in Abu Dhabi. So, we know what we're talking about, we know what we're doing, and we're here to help you wow your town or your event when it comes to the 4th of July this year.
Yeah, Steve, I'll expand on what you just said a little bit about mentioning the Cobra firing system for those of the viewers not in the industry. What does that mean? Why do we mention it? Cobra's probably the most technologically advanced, fully wireless, widest used, safest way to fire pyrotechnics. It's used in venues worldwide, stadium events, major sporting events, national conventions, things like that. Nobody in the seminar today has to light anything and run. In fact, with the display crate fireworks pre-scripted, electronically remote fired shows, no one has to run ever, right?
That's right. Push a button, stand back and enjoy it for everyone.
Yeah, yep. It's pre-scripted, pre-programmed. When you get this, once you lay the fireworks out in the field and connect them, it's literally pushing a button, back off to a safe distance with the spectators and enjoy the show.
Yeah. It's a good point, Ed.
And to touch on that, we really designed this product around helping small town America celebrate. As firework enthusiasts, this is important to us. When fireworks disappear, or if they were to ever disappear, it's not just entertainment that's lost. It's the tradition, the civic pride, and the moment that unites the entire towns. Small communities feel this loss the most because fireworks are often the centerpiece of their Independence Day celebration. And to us, preserving that tradition matters, especially for the 250th. Here you can see an image actually from our show we did, our first booth we set up. This is what you're looking at, the second position of a show. You see the site maps, you see how organized and how easy it is. All you got to do is match the case to the map. It'll say the position, the row number, the queue number. Really, all you got to do is plug it in and you're ready to go. It's that simple.
Yeah, each of the boxes come pre-labeled to correspond to all the data that's on those site maps. They're even color-coded. You'll see the red there, so when we actually deliver this product, and it's loading right now, and there's some actually already on its way here, it's color-coded, so the boxes are going to have red stickers on them. They're going to say piece number 1, and that's just going to match the site map that has a box there that says piece number 1, and that's where that one goes. And then the firework itself has all of the queue data, tells you exactly where to plug it in to that field module, which is that little black electronic box you see there at the bottom left of the picture. That is what links, all this together and receives the commands to do the firing. So it's going to tell you piece number 1 is queue number 5. Just plug it into that.
And to expand on that, you see the 3 crates in this image. Well, 3 crates is what comes in our A show. So that is exactly what you're getting.
Yeah, crate is position 1, position 2, and position 3 for each crate.
And
so let's get
yeah,
Go
try
ahead.
to, like if you're joining us, we love that you're here and interested in this. Want to touch a little bit on who is this show for? Is that in a slide later? Are we going to cover that, or do you want to go over that now after what Cash just covered? I mean, it's for the small communities, volunteer fire departments. It's such a great way to bring patriotism and families together. Multiple times a year, not just for 4th of July. It's perfect for fall festivals, New Year's Eve, all kinds of celebrations. But we're from my research, this crate display firework program that has been put together, it puts displays that were out of reach back into a smaller community budget. And I'm seeing 30 to as much as 50% reduction in price and at the same time, a much higher quality production, a much higher quality display show. Ideal venues for this in your town, if you've got ball fields, soccer fields, football fields, county, city parks, golf courses, any open field with spectator access and parking. This is perfect for those type of venues.
Good points, Ed. Very relevant points. So what is the Crate Firework Display? What are we really talking about? And I touched on this being a pre-engineered fireworks show. We took the sourcing of the product, the choreography. It's all choreographed, pre-choreographed. We did the firing system. We built all of this with the instruction manuals, the site maps, and everything to bring professional quality shows to places that don't have access to a professional display company. These are high quality, tested, 1.4G rated fireworks, professionally designed firing sequence, professional firing system, easy to understand setup and firing instructions, and their safety guidance for the operators. Part of the program is going to include a couple of phone calls with the Cobra team. They have set up a 24/7 helpline specifically for the Crate Fireworks Display program. They are going to have people that are trained and very knowledgeable. It's what they do to talk to you about this, but they want to have some early meetings to make sure that they cover all of this well ahead of your show, so nobody's nervous or worried or confused. It really, sets the stage, for us as Crate Fireworks to be able to work with our customers to give them the comfort that they understand what they're doing and to have confidence knowing that they're going to provide their town a wow effect when it gets to the end of it.
Yeah, I think the core issue is simple. The demand for fireworks on the 4th of July this year is going to far exceed supplies. Across the United States, most professional firework display companies are fully booked months, often years in advance for Independence Day. Availability alone has become a major barrier, especially for the small towns. The problem is compounded by cost. Many professional display companies will not bid on shows under $20,000. That pricing structure immediately excludes communities with limited event funding, even when they are well organized and planning responsibility. As a result, many communities face the same outcomes. They can't secure a display company. Budget minimums exceed available funding, celebrations are scaled back or canceled at the last minute, or the towns attempt improvised alternatives that raise serious safety concerns. Too often, the result is no fireworks at all.
So in this program, here's some things that we've outlined that applies to everybody that would be using this. Completely new innovation. This is not what we've been used to. This is not what I did 30 years ago. This wasn't even available in concept 30 years ago. The technology didn't exist. The production cycles didn't exist. The product didn't exist. But as both fireworks production technology and innovation have changed, so has all the abilities to fire this thing. So this is a brand new concept that can be, done now, which couldn't be done even a few years ago. Professional quality, these things are built to exact specifications. They're fully choreographed. They're electronically fired with proven equipment. So that's exciting. I mean, this puts the ability of the non-professional to do what the professional can do. And that's what makes this so valuable. Everything's included, comes with everything you need to shoot that show. There's nothing that's been forgotten. So you're going to have the entire package, and you've got access to not only the people here at Crate Fireworks, during your purchase and receiving project, but also when it gets to that fire date, you've got that safety net of that helpline. There's no prior experience needed. There's no ATF permits or licenses required because this is 1.4G fireworks, not the big display stuff. The really large caliber stuff that's much more dangerous and really needs to be handled by a professional. We've got instructional videos. We're going to be posting a lot more of those. So be sure to check our website, follow us on TikTok, Facebook, some various other social media outlets we're starting to build up. The last thing that I want people to know, and I touched on it earlier, is this is time saving. Without having to, figure out where all this stuff goes, you're told. And if you can match 1 to 1 and 2 to 2 and 3 to 3, that's as hard as this gets. Um, so that's for everybody. That's a benefit of this show that applies to everybody who uses this product. So for municipalities and AHJs, this is where we talk about, what an AHJ is. First off, it's an authority having jurisdiction. I think most of the people that are on this call that are from municipalities understand that, but we like to just clarify that out there. This is professional quality throughout. So folks, when you look at this show and you're considering this and you want this show, you can understand you're going to get professional quality products, professional quality shows, professional systems, professional choreography. You don't need the professional because, a high caliber, large scale show like we provide comes to you without a large budget. And with all of the instruction manuals, the easy snap in igniters to the firing modules and all this, I mean, it really is just clicking. We've tried to create the easy button for you, as they'd say. And then there again, the peace of mind of knowing that you got a 24/7 helpline to help back you up on the firing day, just in case you have something that you're nervous about.
Steve, you keep using that word professional. I think it's important to stress that point that when most if you're a VFD or if you're the event planner for your city council, there has been so much thought and planning and just professional design put into this program. It's important, I think, for people to understand that this is not your typical firework display. In the industry, for a lot of display guys, a majority of the shows that are shot across this country, they use a term that's called a bucket toss because they're given 5 or 6 cartons of assorted fireworks. Their equipment shows up, and the crew will just start dropping shells, and those shells are randomly fired to approximately the amount of time that event planner or the sponsor wanted their display to last for their town. You've got 4 options here. You can pick your time, and because it's scripted, that's how much time that show is going to run. So you know exactly what's going to happen ahead of time. And just because Steve says you're not getting the big shells, these are a big jump up from your standard consumer fireworks. These are professional, hand-picked effects that were designed by this team, and they're impressive.
Yeah, an absolute show pleaser. No one is going to watch this show and be disappointed. For display companies. This crate was designed to help small municipalities, but it creates a lot of value for everybody. Obviously, because there's no extensive crews needed for one show, you can shoot 4 shows to one by reallocating labor resources. It would take no more than 4 people to set up our A show, maybe an hour, and our D show, maybe a few hours, half of an afternoon. I mean, it's that easy. Customers provide labor to carry boxes. Shooters oversee setup and operation. Ready source of inventory to conduct more displays. So, what exactly does this mean? Well, customers providing labor to carry boxes, all you got to do is unbox the crate. It's as simple as taking the top off the lid and matching the individual piece to the number on the map. A lot of times, or most of the time for this product, you have to have someone overseeing the setup and operation. Well, because once again, we've preached simplicity, it's that easy. All you got to do is unbox it, match the number, and you're ready to plug and play.
Yeah, cash for display companies. We know right now they're out there. They're trying to make sure they've got their product secure, looking at their inventory. They're scripting these shows. A lot of times they're either doing it in Excel or on a spreadsheet. It's all done. All they've got to do is contact us, decide which show they want for their sponsor, and order it. It's shipped straight to them, ready to go.
And provides a lot of value just by time saving. The thing about these pro shooters is they're going to get paid more to be there on New Year's, on the 4th of July. Well, this is a way for them to be in multiple places at once and multiple times leading up throughout the season, providing Great opportunity. And once again, just an unbelievable show. No one's going to watch this show and be disappointed.
Agreed.
And no additional equipment needed. Everything comes prepackaged, pre-programmed, ready to go. Once again, you just unbox it, plug it in, test the modules, and yeah, you're ready. And this is great for the shooters because a lot of times you got to hand fire or be closer to the shoot site. Well, here you can be at distance enjoying the show.
Well, one more thing about the display company side of it is, like, I talking to display companies around the country. They would take on more shows if they had the trained help to do it. There's everything in this box required for that training. I use the analogy in a prior conversation that if you've ever grabbed a pen and a piece of connect the dots page out of an activity book when you were younger, this is on a larger scale. It's basically playing connect the dots. And if you follow the simple instructions, it's going to be a successful show.
All right, so there it is. And Cash, I think you even touched on this already. This is, the whole point for Fireworks Create and the enthusiasm that we had for this was, as we were talking in our industry, 2 years ago, everybody's saying, oh my gosh, the 250 is coming up. We've got tariffs. We have issues. What are we going to do? How are we going to get these fireworks here? These are all things that our industry was looking at years ago. And then that's where this really kind of got hatched, was to sit there and say, that this is going to be a problem. I grew up in a very small town. They aren't going to be able to have a fireworks show this year unless they use something like this. They don't have the budget, and the fireworks display companies are booked. So this was created. I grew up in a small town, based in a small city at this point right now. So I understand how that works. I'm surrounded by these towns. I'm here in the Midwest. The reason we want the small towns to participate in this is the same reason they want them to. They want their citizens to be happy and proud. They want to do it at home. They don't want to have to travel long distances to try to go catch a fireworks show. This is much more convenient. It keeps the town together. It promotes, good citizenship. The one thing, when you go to a fireworks display, everybody's there for the fireworks. Everything else aside. And this is all about America, the 250th birthday, and community standing together as friends. So that's what we wanted to try to make sure that we could preserve and promote, is to make sure that everybody has access to this, especially in this year. I remember the bicentennial. I was young, but I remember it, and it was special. So now we've got 50 years after that, we're coming into this. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and we just don't want to see it go by for towns that could have participated in it. We came up with this specifically with that in mind. And that's that's why we're excited about it, because I know this product is going to meet that need. It's spectacular.
Bring back fireworks to small town America. I mean, we all know across the country, communities are turning to us now, fireworkscrate.com, to restore fireworks celebrations that were disappearing due to cost and availability issues. By removing all the barriers needed for a fully booked display company and high budget minimums, fireworkcrate.com empowers towns to secure firework displays even late in the planning cycle, prioritize safety and compliance, stay within budget, and celebrate Independence Day with confidence.
Yeah, I think the point there on the securing fireworks displays even late in the planning cycle also, moves to something else. We have set up also through Spot Fund fundraising campaigns that will be bannered and everything to be customized for small town, small city, special event group. So when we talk about late in the planning cycle, you can push this thing, into April or May. We do recommend that you have everything figured out by June 1, because that's going to make sure that there's plenty of time to get all the I's dotted and T's crossed relative to getting the product to you, getting anybody, updated with Cobra on the firing system to have those meetings I referenced earlier. But, normally June wouldn't even be an option, or May wouldn't be an option for something like this. But it is here. We are urging people to get started soon, though, because you know we don't have a limitless supply of these, and it's starting to go.
Definitely. And that's one of the great parts about the crate and how we designed it was it is meant to be stored for a while. These are a designer product in limited edition. So if you're a true pyro fanatic and you like the show, you can buy it and you can store it for a while and break it out on a rainy day, maybe your daughter's wedding or any specific event you have in mind. What's nice about this year's crate display is that it's all red, wine, blue, super patriotic for 250 years of America.
Well, we did use some other colors there, Cash, in the C and D shows, the really, really big ones, just because, due to their scale and scope. As we were building the choreography, we could see that it might be nice to throw some other colors in there just for a little bit of variety. And we had some really unique effects that we wanted to make sure to include in some of those larger shows. But A and B are, like you said, completely all red, white, and blue. Well, there's some gold in it, but that's fireworks. You're always going to have gold.
That was some great information. I'm glad you threw out the timeline there, Steve, because we know there's people, event planners now that have been sending out RFPs, requests for bids, proposals, and they may send them out to 5 different companies, and 99% are coming back saying, sorry, we're booked. Not only for this year, for next year. A lot of these companies operate on multi-year contracts. So, anybody that's watching this later, up until, was it you said June 1st, we could probably still make this happen for you on the assumption that there are any remaining at that time.
Correct.
Like we touched on earlier, the July 4th fireworks problem for small towns. The demand for fireworks displays on July 4th far exceeds supply. Across the US, the majority of professional firework displays companies are fully booked months or years in advance for Independence Day. Even worse for small communities, many display companies do not bid shows with budgets under $30,000, making traditional displays inaccessible for towns with limited event funding. Many communities face an inability to secure a display company for the 4th of July, budget minimums that exceed available funding, last-minute cancellations, or scaled-down celebrations, safety concerns when attempting to improvise alternatives. For small towns, unfortunately, this often means no fireworks at all.
Yeah, and I think that fourth bullet point there about safety concerns when attempting to improvise alternatives is important to break out because, when you're handling things like this, you don't want to be doing it in a rush. You don't want to be guessing or things like that. That's why the program was built to eliminate that, I don't know what to do or I'm trying to rush to put something together to get this thing off the ground. We addressed it right up front. We got it organized to make it safe, and I think that's an important distinction to make because out of all those, bullet points, that's probably one we haven't touched on as much in the preceding slides and conversation, but we are very very mindful of that. That's why even at the 300-foot recommended safety distance for the spectators, this show is going to be fully immersive. If you get to some really large scale type shows with really large shells, the safety distance required, by legal, is going to get 5, 6, 700 feet away. So this one, they're still well past anything recommended. They say 70 feet per inch. We're just recommending 300 feet because we know the scale of these shows are best viewed a little bit back because you want to see everything left to right. If you're too close, you're not going to see all of this thing. It's going to be like you're at a tennis match. So we've addressed the safety from that up front by giving the communities, the ability to implement a fireworks display show that they know has everybody's best interests at heart. And I think that's a key thing.
And what a cool thing that we got to be part of a new approach to affordable firework displays.
Oh, that's right.
It's nice that fireworkscrate.com was created to solve this exact problem that small municipalities face. It's nice that instead of having to rely on these traditional large shell displays and fully booked pyrotechnic companies, that fireworkscrate.com can provide crate fireworks displays, a professionally designed show built around tested, legal 1.4G fireworks, packaged as a complete system that can be safely deployed by local teams. This approach removes the two biggest barriers small towns face: high minimum pricing, limited July 4th availability. And what's really nice about Steve is he was in professional fireworks for a while. He has done many displays. So he, among anyone else, probably knows about how limited the product for the 4th of July is going to be in that professional market.
Yeah, I actually before my job now, I ran a Class B professional display company, and we conducted about 150 fireworks display shows between the 2nd and the 4th of July every year. But by and large, those were all pre-booked. We did run on multi-year contracts, and we also had high minimums. I mean, 25 years ago, the minimum was $20,000. Today it's much, much higher than that just because of tariff costs and just everything's gone up over the last 20 years. So it really is important that people understand, when we developed this, we wanted to eliminate that barrier. Because it was getting sad. I hated, going back to my little small town that I grew up in, and they're like, well, we haven't had fireworks here in 3 years. It's like, really? Wow. So we need to change that. And I've lived in a lot of places around this country in my lifetime. I've been all throughout the Midwest, from top to bottom, and it was a problem in those small towns. I mean, they just didn't have one. It just wasn't an option. So, we want to fix that, and that's what this whole program's about. And it's sharing the love of fireworks and joy, especially on this, our country's birthday, just to make sure that everybody gets to feel that. And I think that's a good way for communities to come together, for the country to come together. They want to have a big deal this year. They being the federal government, even, so we're trying to do our part. And we're excited to talk to people about this. I mean, this is exciting. It's never been done before. Nobody's ever done this concept. So we spent almost 2 years now working on this thing, and it is so exciting to see it kicking off and talking to the people about it. But it's a brand new deal.
Ideal for volunteer fire departments and local teams. A key reason fireworkscrate.com displays work so well for small towns is that they're often fired by volunteer fire departments, VFDs we call them. This crate is an ideal scenario for community safety. The fireworks are handled by trained professionals and safety-focused personnel. The displays are supervised by local emergency responders. The setup and firing followed established protocols, and the communities trust the people running the show. Volunteer fire departments already understand risk management and public safety, making them a natural fit for operating the crate fireworks displays. So I've had the privilege in the last couple of weeks to go around door to door trying to sell these crates to fire departments, and I've received great feedback. Everyone loved the idea that they could bring the power of the community to have a professional choreographed fireworks kit. Everyone was super excited and they were jumping on it as fast as they could. They wanted to know everything about it so they could be prepared to schedule their show, not just for the 4th of July, but for New Year's as well.
Yeah, and I think, another part of this that sometimes people forget is, it's really nice for, fire departments, the local authorities that are, ultimately responsible for this to have a much more hands-on involvement in it. They know that they're going to take care of their community, and they don't have to worry about somebody else. And I think that, is also an important thing. I know that when my little small town used to do this, it was the fire department that conducted it. But yeah, they liked it because they were able to be in charge from beginning to the end, and they had confidence that they could pull it off safely.
And they love that they would be able to watch the show and not just be lighting it, hand lighting it. They would also enjoy the fireworks. Who would have thought?
Oh yeah, yeah, much better than being out in their full turnout gear, hand lighting fireworks. Much safer this way, and everybody gets to enjoy it, and it's choreographed.
Yep. And another thing I learned was that most fire departments already had licensed firework shooters, pyrotechnics who were looking for something like this to do maybe as a side gig. And they were also very interested in the firework crate just because of the simplicity. Just every time I told them it was like a Lego kit, all you had to do was unbox it, set it together, and you're ready to go. They really loved this idea. Everyone I talked to, I didn't have one negative experience where someone wasn't just ready to buy one.
Yeah.
So safety, we've touched on this many times, and safety is our top priority, definitely. Safety is built into every display at every level. All fireworks included in the crate display are, as we've said, 1.4G fireworks, legal under federal law, fully tested for safety and performance, not just by our party, but as the factory as well, who is very interested in supplying the top product. It's manufactured to the highest quality standards. Unlike improvised setups, fireworks crate displays are engineered systems, not random assortments. The included electronic firing system, Cobra, allows fireworks to be ignited from a safe distance, reducing exposure for the workers setting up this display and enhancing safety for the public, which means that this method significantly lowers the risks associated with manual lighting, misfires, and inconsistent timing.
Yeah, and I meant to mention at the front end of this thing, for everybody that's on this, we're going to take questions at the end. So we're moving through this really well. I think we'll be done with the slides here fairly quickly. And we want you to ask us questions because while we're trying to anticipate everything, there's going to be a lot of good questions out there that's going to help everybody.
Big visual impact without the big price tag. One of the biggest misconceptions about affordable fireworks is that they can't deliver excitement. Fireworkscrate.com proves otherwise. Through thoughtful sequencing and timing, crate displays provide full aerial effects, engaging pacing, crowd-pleasing finales, even though that's kind of strange to say because the entire show is like a finale. All fireworks without the $30,000 minimum required by many traditional firework companies. This makes fireworkcrate.com displays ideal for small towns, rural communities, county fairs, local festivals, fundraising events, communities that were turned down by display companies. One customer in particular was a racetrack. The guy was in tears when he realized he could finally have a professional choreographed show and the licensed professional who was already part of his team bring people to his racetrack for fireworks, involve community involvement, and celebrate 250 years of America. And that was the most important part to him because he realized just how important fireworks, the 250 years of America, and celebrating in these smaller communities are.
Yeah, but when we talk about big visual impact on the fireworkscrate.com website, we actually have a show B that is running in full length there. When you were kind of before we kicked this off, we actually had the last couple of minutes of that show B playing. So if you were logged in early, you got to see an actual show really going off. So go to the website, check that out. When we say big visual impact, we mean it. That shoot site was actually set up to be about, if I recall correctly, there were about 40 yards between each of the positions. So you don't have to go that wide. But just to give you an idea, that shoot site was probably about 500 feet wide. So when we talk about a big impact, we mean a big impact. It really is astounding what we can produce these days in the fireworks with the technology that they have.
Yeah, like Steve just mentioned, you've got to go watch the show to see what you're getting for this. And being in the industry as long as I have, some of the things that I've had to be the privilege to be a part of, I've done research and studies and written papers, and part of that was understanding how these visuals, these colors, and these effects stir certain emotions in people. And the first time that I saw what's been put together here, I was blown away by the high level of choreography and professionalism that's in this. And why I mention that, because for you who are interested and with us watching this, what it's going to do, like if even if you're one of the smallest towns, you think this is not attainable. This is so attainable for you now through this program. And you are going to have people that are going to have their phones out. They are going to be in awe seeing this in person. They're going to be posting it. They're going to be sharing it to their social pages because it's going to stir that sense of community pride within them. And I think that's just even a bigger deal with this year being the 250th of the country.
Yeah, it's kind of like Cash said, when we talk about finales, I mean, this show is this thing is going full tilt from beginning to end. There's no dark sky. There's no waiting for something to break. After you saw a shell break in the air, you don't have to wait for a minute or two to see another one. I mean, this is all in all the time. So I think, there's a huge emotional connection there. People get excited. I mean, they will be excited when this thing's going off, and they're going to love it. The sad thing for them is eventually it is going to end. So, I'm a fireworks guy, so I love fireworks, but, it really, you have to go watch the show and you have to know what you're looking at, because you just can't really conceive that this thing is this grand of a scale. Okay, so let's talk a little, or Ed, if you want to do it. I know you've dealt with a lot of these kind of items over your lifetime in the business.
Sure, I'll take this one. What fireworks are used for the firework display crate program? Unlike most traditional displays that use the 1.3G display fireworks that are expensive, heavily regulated by the ATF, firework display crates utilize 1.4G articles pyrotechnic, and that's a category that this team has put a lot of work into developing. These are not subject to the same ATF regulations as the more costly and dangerous 1.3G fireworks. You're really lowering your risk rate with this type of product. The product offers many advantages. Number one is safety. There has been no stone was left unturned when it comes to safety when this program was set up. It offers more flexibility for safe shooting distances from spectators. I just keep picturing this. We're really targeting the small towns, trying to help with that community pride feel. Steve, would you agree that if a town has a little league field, they've got a venue for this program?
Yeah, yeah, and it's nice. It has bleacher seating.
Yeah.
Just probably
Third,
put it right behind the outfield wall.
yeah. Third, superior performance over other fireworks that fall into that 1.4G category, such as consumer fireworks. Fourth, full professional functionality. We just I touched on that. I was blown away by the choreography and the entertainment value that these displays are going to bring. You're going to get bigger effects than 1.4G consumer fireworks, and you've got to watch the video to really understand some of these things we're talking about. There's the comets, the mines, the single shots, all combined with the breaks of the shells and the amount of different effects that you see. You're not going to see the same thing repeated over and over and over and over again like you will with what I mentioned earlier with the bucket toss assortments that some people have been getting for so many years. It's ready-made for electronic firing. Again, connect the dots. If you open that crate, follow the instructions. You've got this support team, and then you've got full support from the team that engineered the firing system that we talked about. Lower cost per shot. I said earlier in some research, for the level of show that you're getting, I think there is anywhere from a 30 to 50% cost savings. So it really, really puts this high level of entertainment value in reach for a lot more people and venues.
Thanks for that, Ed. Okay, so everybody, what you're seeing now is basically a graphical representation of show A. You have position 1 on your left, 2 in the middle, and 3 on your right. You can see there in the middle, it says 75 to 120 feet between positions. So they're not all going to be crammed right on top of each other because these things are such large scale and fan shaped and go out so far. If you put them way too close together, they can cover each other up. You'll cheat yourself. So spread it out. You can see that the shoot positions, are roughly 12 feet, 13 feet deep at the max. And this is actually what the site maps look like when you see that. So you got red, white, and blue. Again, fully thought out. And then, starting over there on the far, far left, it says row 1. It's hard to show this big enough to give you the whole layout, in this type of format. But you can see down there that they are piece numbered. Piece 1, piece 2, piece 3, piece 4, piece 5, piece 6, piece 7 is right up there on the upper left corner of that far left row. And we even have printed on the site map a empty space notifier. The depths of the positions on the map match that of the cakes. So you'll know the stickers on the cakes are going to be red, piece number 1. It's going to have a Q number on there. And then the green lines that you see, that's representing the igniters. This is, the item that you're going to hook up to the firework and then run down and plug in to the FM box. And when I say plug in, it really is like that. They call it a quick plug. It is like a very small telephone connection wire. It just clicks in. It's that easy. So every piece has its Q number noted on it when it comes out of the box. Just guarantees that you're not going to have an issue with this. Plus, when the show comes, you're going to have instruction manuals and the like. And all of this stuff is also going to be available online. So, somebody says, oh, I forgot that sheet, or the sheet's at the other end of the shoot site. They just pull it up on their phone and they can check it out as a double check. But again, so easy, so simple. And everything's been noted. And as we get to the larger shows, we start incorporating other colors than red, white, and blue. It's just to make sure that there's no confusion at all when somebody's setting something down. So that's effectively what show A looks like. And there's the 3,900 roughly shots that are in that show are in all those pieces that are sitting there. Excuse me, 3,691. I inverted my 9 and 6, but excitement got me. So this is for you to kind of visualize how this sets up. So you can see it doesn't have to be some huge shoot site. It's something that can be very flexible. And like Ed said, Little League ball field, just like the one I grew up playing on. I think that brings us to the end of the slideshow. Is that correct?
Okay. Correct.
So if there's any questions out there that anybody has, we'd love to take them now. We've got some pictures of this stuff actually loading in China. So you can see those colored labels on the boxes, red, white, and then there's an exterior picture of a finished crate, show A, position 1. And there they are getting boxed up.
Steve, I have a couple questions.
Uh-huh.
Do we need any special insurance or additional insurance to light this display?
No, I mean, we provide, as the seller, Fireworks Display Crate, they actually have their own product liability insurance. It covers the product, from any kind of defect that would result in, potential issues. But pretty much all cities and towns carry standard event insurance. So using that event insurance by them is something they can do, particularly if their fire departments are the actual ones shooting the show. But again, that we knew that was going to be a big question, and I thank you for asking it. We provide the product liability insurance, general event policies that cities already hold for special fairs, festivals, and things like that suffice. But the other thing where we were addressing the insurance thing is let's push this, distance back for the spectators to virtually eliminate a chance for any kind of accidental injury or something that may happen. I mean, we really wanted to remove the problem of insurance by removing the problem that insurance would be there for. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. How many staff will we need to light the show comfortably? I mean, do we need a dozen people? Looks like we would maybe only need a couple, maybe more for setup, but to actually light the show, maybe only a couple. What do you guys recommend?
Well, for the setup, there's always the adage, many hands make light work. But a show A, for instance, 2 to 4 people could easily handle it. When it comes to firing the show, actually, you need one person to push a button. And then the firing system actually takes over and it runs the pre-scripted software for that show that's already built in to the firing system. The firing system comes complete with everything. It's already been synchronized. It's completely set up to pull out of the box, put the batteries in it, turn it on, and that's what actually is going to shoot the show. All the person has to do is once they get everything set up is literally push one button and the show is off and running. When you get to some of the larger shows, obviously, show D, it has 7 positions. There's 416 pieces there, so if you want to do that, I think it's good to at least have people help you get everything set out. You could have 8 to 10 people there, just unpacking the crates. And then once that part of the process is done, which would go very quickly with that amount of people, then you just got to get it plugged in and, 3 to 4 people could do that. It really wouldn't take that long. I've set up enough of these shows and I've done some of these shows with, like pieces, in this concept. And of course, that was, taking consumer fireworks for somebody and then retrofitting them to be shot electronically, which took 2 days to do. Then when we went to set the show out, I think there were about 265 pieces. It took 4 guys 2 hours, and that was the whole thing done. And that was without site maps, without anything. We had to print our own labels, interpret our own sheets, our own diagrams, and make sure everything was set out. And of those 4 people that did the work, I was the only one that ever had any fireworks experience. The other 3 were just there to help me. They were basically my helpers. But it took really no time at all. So it's going to depend on the amount of bodies and the size of the show, how long it takes. But it's a pleasant afternoon job. And let me make one more point because it just popped into my head, and this is why I love these questions, Devin. You talk about setting this up. What if it's raining on the 4th of July? Okay, well, these products are going to come prepackaged with a plastic bag, if that's the case. And you can just literally put them in the plastic bag and tape it shut to protect the fireworks in a rainstorm. And I've shot enough shows in my lifetime that, we have shot shows in full on downpours, shot off a barge in front of the Statue of Liberty in an absolute torrential rainstorm. It can be done, but the case with these, they come with the bag with them. So I got a little off there at the end, Devin, but
Right. Yeah, no, it's good information.
Did I cover your setup time?
Yeah. And one last question. This all sounds great. What's the lead time and how soon do we have to get an order or payment in to receive the show in time?
Really, everything needs to be completely buttoned up by June 1. That's the ideal standpoint because that way there's plenty of time for the firing system to get moved out to you. That's shipping from the States because they're doing the programming that with the igniters. And once a contract is signed, they're notified and then they send that out. And sooner the better, just from a comfort standpoint. But June 1 is what I'm going to give you as what I would call the preferred cutoff time. It's not to say we couldn't do something after that, but June 1 gives everybody plenty of time for planning.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Steve.
I have a question. I'm going back to insurance here. So when you say you just have product insurance, so it would just cover if one of the fireworks are like faulty, because I know what the first one's $8,000 grade A and grade B is like 15,000. So
Mhm.
it would just cover, misfires and fireworks that are duds, which usually never happens. But that's what it would cover, correct?
Yeah, the insurance comes into play if, let's say a firework, had a misfire issue,
Mm-hmm.
and an errant shot caused some property damage or personal damage.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay, good. That's what I was wondering.
that's where that would kick in.
Okay. And then are you requiring, I know you said stuff, usually people have event places for cities, but I know a lot of the smaller towns shoot their fireworks off outside of city limits. Are you requiring event insurance for each thing or
Oh no, 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 no.
you're not?
The event insurance is something that the municipality has on its own. It's basically their policy. We have our
Yes.
product liability policy. Where they shoot it, their insurance is going to follow them, whether it's inside the city limits or outside the city limits. It's the
Mm-hmm.
municipality's insurance. Is typically how all those are maintained. Because I have had that same scenario when you shoot a show outside of a city limits at, say, a rodeo or a fairground, oftentimes. Crate Fireworks doesn't require the insurance. It's just something that's probably already there,
Mm-hmm.
in an extreme situation. But the
Yes.
product liability insurance that we provide follows the fireworks to wherever they're shot.
I don't believe there's a city, town, county, village that doesn't already have event insurance out there. I mean, if they have any type of a parade or a fall festival or
Yeah.
carnival or something like that that comes through, it's that likely that same policy.
Mm-hmm. And then do you guys by chance like just provide on-site safety training? Because I know you said majority of the time the fire department, like the volunteer fire department does most of these, which I know they do in most small towns, but do you guys provide on-site safety training or anything?
Actually, something we're doing in the month of March, and we're trying to firm up the date. We are going to hold a session at a racetrack. It's actually an event center in Pittsburgh, Kansas, which is in the southeast corner of the state. From Kansas City area, it's probably about a 2 hour drive, 2.5 hour drive if you're on the northern side. I used to live up in Liberty, Missouri, and whenever I would come home to where I used to grow up, it was about 2.5 hours. I grew up in a little town called Columbus, Kansas, which is a little further south than Pittsburgh. But we are actually going to have an event there, and we're going to be inviting anybody that wants to come, that's a customer or a prospective customer, to come and actually get involved in the process of setting it up. And while you're there, get trained as well. So that is something we are going to be scheduling in March. So again, keep up with the website. Send us an email, and then we can try to get you on, a reminder list. Does that help you?
Yeah. And then when it comes to pricing with the crates, I know it has like a set price right now, but is there additional charges when it comes to like shipping the crates, I'm assuming?
Yes, that's a good question. Okay, so let's say show A on the slide that they have up, $8,000. Okay, that includes absolutely everything. There is a refundable security deposit, and that is money that Cobra is needing to make sure that the firing system that we send out with this, it's kind of it's a rental. The firing systems are very, very expensive, so they want to make sure that stuff just gets sent back to them. So there is that refundable security deposit, which would be over and above, say, $8,000. And then, of course, the shipping cost to move it from the Crate Fireworks warehouse to the decided delivery site. So
Hmm.
very good question. I'm really glad you asked that because we do want to make sure everybody understands everything throughout the program.
Yeah. Um, do you have, like, I know your smallest one is the 40, like the A. Do you have one like smaller for any smaller towns? Or is that the smallest that you go?
That's as small as we go.
Okay.
And the reason is because if we get too small, we're going to be losing a lot of what we've talked about in terms of
Hmm.
the, big impact, high visual effect. If we get too small with something like this, yeah, it's
Then
not
it,
something we
yeah.
really felt confident wanting to put our name on.
And then when it comes to weather, I know the last few years on the 4th it has rained most of the time. How do you what would you recommend like cities do? Because what if it's
Well,
raining the whole time?
yeah, I mean, if their weather forecast is such that, it's going to be a torrential downpour all day long, hopefully their meteorologists in their area are smart, and have let them know that. So at that point, they wouldn't set it up. They could hold it and just maybe bump the celebration to the 5th, which is a Sunday.
Hmm.
Or if they needed to speed it up a day, they could do it on the 3rd. That's the nice thing about this is they get flexibility with this. When I was in the bee business, we would schedule a show for a day. That's when all those people and equipment and everything was there, and it took so long to set it up. That was the deal. If it got totally shut off because of weather, well, it's not like those people weren't probably doing something the day before or the day after. This
Hmm.
gives a town some built-in weather flexibility. Now, if it's starting early in the day and it's set to turn off in the afternoon, that's a good thing. If it starts a little and stops, those plastic bags I mentioned will protect the product because they're just basically going to give it like a raincoat. And they don't need to be taken off to shoot the show because when the firework itself ignites, and we do this all the time in the display business with these type of products. The first shot that goes out of that thing, that the pressure, the air pressure that's in that bag, when it gets that explosion coming out of the tube, it just blows the bag wide open. And certainly it's not going to impede any progress of the device up into the air. It is means nothing. So you touched on something there, and I'm really glad you asked because this does give towns and cities some built-in flexibility if weather really,
Hmm.
really works against them on the 4th of July.
Yeah, I would go even farther and say that this gives them a greater chance of being able to get that display off. July in the United States, most areas, we're not dealing with all day rains. It can happen. We can't control Mother Nature, but a lot of times you get those pop up showers or a front come through and you've got rain for half of the day. It'll take a little bit of planning and, like Steve said, watching the forecast. But because of the simplicity and the speed, the setup of these displays, in most cases, you just need to say, okay, I've got a 3 to 4 hour window this morning or even this afternoon, and with it not being dark until fairly late in the evening, Fourth
Hmm.
of July around most of the country, there's a lot of opportunity to be able to get this display set up, and even if you are in a case where light rain comes back or starts at showtime, because of the bags, the electronic firing system, the show is still going to go off as intended.
Perfect. I have one more question. So, like, I have, when it comes to this, I mean, it kind of is the community's money when we're paying for this, like events like this, and we kind of want to get the community behind. I know you guys have that presentation, and I'm assuming you probably have a flyer, but is there anything that's like more so like digital media that we could post or like share with the city folks just to get them kind of behind this idea more, something that is a little less technical and more so, interesting without giving away all like the, and crazy facts that would bore them, just maybe get them more on board with this.
That's an interesting question because we were talking about this the other day as we've talked to more and more people. There was, basically we have come to learn, and now this is absolute verification of it, the need to create some more content We are
Mhm.
working on that, but this one actually was one that came up when Cash was out visiting with some people face to face, and some of the questions they asked. So yeah, we're gonna develop something like that to kind of bring the town in, because again, as we said during the presentation, we want the community to be involved and to take pride in this. We do have the fundraising option. If you go to the Fireworks Create website, there are custom spot fund pages that we can get you set up on through Spot Fund.
Huh.
So if anybody would like to be involved in that in the community, hey, I want to donate $10, $15, $20,
Yeah.
whatever. Or maybe there's a large business in town that wants to say, hey, instead of a show A, let's go with a show B. So that's out there, and keep confidence in knowing, see, that money is there. That doesn't come to the crate folks. We don't,
Mhm.
we're not involved in that. We've set up the marketing, we've set up the apparatus for it to happen. But the money that comes in through that, through, community donations, is basically locked and isolated. It is to be paid to the city.
Mhm.
And if, let's say worst case scenario, people donated this thing and it was total rain out and it just couldn't happen. And the city was using it as a way to defray costs or something, the money can actually be sent back to the
Oh,
citizens too. So
that's perfect. And you guys do have like a social media, right? Just so like if we were to, wanted to tag you guys, saying that we were doing all this.
yeah, I know we've got TikTok up. Um, People like little videos, and
Hmm.
I'll tell you, I've done some. I'm going to get better at that because I've just never really done it before. So it was kind of awkward, but I got one of those little selfie stick things now, which I think will make it better. But we also have Facebook, I believe. They've gotten set up. And we're working on getting that social media content out there. It's tricky sometimes with social media because they have rules for posts. And sometimes fireworks, oddly enough, screens. They think that, oh, it's explosives, it's ammunition, it's bullets, it's, stuff like
Yeah.
this. So, but we are going to be bringing some of those up. But I know TikTok, Facebook, um, and I think we've got a LinkedIn page,
Hmm.
and then an X page. I think that's what the marketing gurus have tied us into.
Perfect. That's all the questions I had. So thank you so much.
Hmm.
Hey Steve, I have a question. So my organization is really interested in getting fireworks display crates. Can you walk me through the process from the time we place our order until it's delivered? Like, what's the timeline and what do you need from my organization to get started?
Okay, well, we do have a contract. In the contract, it specifies out the terms. So let's say it's April 1, and it's go time. So the contract gets fired off, gets signed. And then at that point, there's a 50% deposit on the purchase price of the show that's due. Then there would be that refundable security deposit that I spoke of. For the A show, for example, that refundable deposit, I believe, is $1,100. That is money that will come back once the firing system gets returned to the Cobra folks, the people who actually own the equipment. Then in the contract, this organization, whether it be city or private, is going to specify the date that they want delivery. What date would you like to have delivery on? We're going to work with you on that. To make sure we're all on the same page. We are telling people that, we would like to get all of this stuff pretty much wrapped up from a paperwork and contractual standpoint by June 1. But then on April 1, getting back so I don't get sidetracked here. So now we know that we've worked with you to specify your desired delivery date. Once we get the 50% deposit and the security deposit, the refundable security deposit, Cobra will then send the firing system and the igniters to you. They're actually sent via the mail. the igniters we're using are a special type of igniter, and they can be mailed. And Cobra does that for hundreds of thousands of these e-match every season, and they're very good at it. So that stuff would come to you. I would anticipate probably somewhere around mid-April. Then you can schedule those calls with Cobra to go over the system where they want to walk you through everything. Then if you've specified, I want my crate to show up on my show to show up on June, 7th, not July 7th, that'd be bad. On June 7th, then we just arrange to make sure that the shipping goes there. Then, once it leaves, there would be the balance due on the show itself. Did you
Okay.
understand? Did I explain that right?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, that makes sense. So basically, the Cobra system and then the actual fireworks, they will arrive separately, and then we'll get training on the Cobra system. And then with the fireworks and such, there will be instructions in there, and we just kind of set it up. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cobra will send everything relative to the firing system, and they're going to do all things firing system related. And we at Create Display will take care of everything fireworks related. So yeah, 2 different shipments would arrive to you. The firing system is going to come probably before the fireworks, because they want to make sure that you get that in your hands and have plenty of time to get comfortable and familiar with it. And then the fireworks would be set on that scheduled date. And the fireworks crates contain the site maps, and then there will be a detailed instruction manual that will come with the show as well.
Okay, sounds good. And then, so I'm just wondering, like, how much space I need to be able to store these crates, prior to the 4th of July. So right now I'm looking at show B. So how many crates does show B have? How many pallets?
Okay, so show B is made up of, doing this in my head, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 crates. Each crate is roughly, well, it is 40 inches wide, 48 inches deep, and roughly 48 to 58 inches tall. Some of these shows, like say for a position, you could have 2 crates for that position when you start getting into the B's, C's, and D's. And once you get into that, you may have a larger crate, sort of similar to what's represented on the picture that we put on the slideshow, the 40 by 48 by 48, roughly. And then the other one will be slightly smaller, because what we don't want to do is, waste space inside the crates, right? So that's kind of what you'd be required to have. Now, some people, have said, hey, we're just going to stack these. How high can we stack them? They're weight rated. The crates are weight rated to be able to stack 3 high on top of each
That was
other.
my next question. Okay.
Yeah. They can be stacked 3 high on top of each other, and the top of the lid is molded to accept the feet that's on the bottom of it, so they interlock when they're up there. They will
Okay.
come strapped. They're shipped all strapped shut.
Okay. Perfect. And then this might sound like a silly question, but they have to be stored indoors, correct? Or can they be stored outside?
Yes, indoors.
Indoors. Okay.
The only thing that fireworks don't like is water.
Right.
Heat is not a problem. But heat's not a problem as long as it's not a fire. But we have people, that have like metal storage containers, and they ask if it's okay to put them in there. Absolutely. Absolutely. Won't hurt them at all. But do keep them dry.
That's actually a great subject. So, Steve, what are some suggested areas that we ship these fireworks to the address that they want them brought to? Where would we suggest they store them up till then? And you've already mentioned a shipping container. A lot of places might have an equipment or maintenance shed. type place like that, or even a maintenance building, with an overhead door in the back or something like that. They're not federally regulated as far as how they are to be stored or anything like that. So lots of options, but those are two or three scenarios I could think that they would want to store these until show day when they move them to the venue.
Yeah, and we're going to work with the customer on setting up that ship to location. We'll want to advise them. It really needs to be a commercial address. A location, because you have to remember these are going to be delivered by tractor trailers. So that tractor trailer can't drive out into the middle of the field and put it in some building that's sitting out there way all by itself. Now, certainly it can be easily moved there after it's unloaded. But a lot of municipalities that we've talked to, they do have like public works buildings that are easily accessible. One of them that I was talking to, they said, "Well, we know where we'll put it. We'll put it in the salt building." And I said, "Salt building?" They said, "Well, that's where we store the salt for winter roads." And that'd be a great place because once it gets spring, they're never in that building. So just as long as the place is easily accessible for the sake of the customer, and these are things we're going to want to talk to them about to make sure that we're all on the same page and that they are storing the products properly.
Great. And then I have one final question. So when you were talking about the space needed for the fireworks show, you mentioned the Little League field, but like for a show like, show B or show C, how much space is needed? Like what's the minimum amount of space? Because the last thing I would want to do is get this big show and then, I don't have enough space for it.
Yeah, good question. And we're going to be producing, if we haven't already got posted up to our website, we're going to basically show the sample layouts with the recommended site position widths. Off the top of my head, I know that show B, we're recommending, 373 feet of width. But you can also go clear up to 573 feet. These shows are built to wow. But we can certainly reach out to you personally, but I need to double check because I know we had talked about that now that we've gotten so far into talking with people, that some of those more common questions are coming up, that the marketing side of Create Fireworks is working on producing a lot more information. But yes, one of the things during the sales process too, if somebody's interested, we're going to let you know what show fits. Somebody comes and they say, I've got the money, I want show D. And I say, where are you planning on shooting this? And they say, oh, we're going to shoot it here. And I say, okay, well, how big is here? And let's say here is 200 feet wide. I'm going to tell them that's not going to work as well as you think it's going to, because the show is so big, it would be crammed too close together. And this, what we want for our customers is an experience that wows them. Not one that they go, wow, that was really crammed together, and I don't know if that's really what I was expecting. So we need to work with the customer, and we will, in trying to advise them of, good shoot sites, ideal places to put it. And that's something that goes into every display show, whether it was from a professional company or not, because you do have to make sure that you've got the safety distances and the sight lines and things like that. So we would definitely want to explore that with the customer.
Yeah, if that's a concern and a deciding factor for you, if you could send an address, we can certainly take a look at it on the venue on Google Earth and let you know any concerns or suggested areas we think would help best, where you might want to set up your spectator line and all those things. Here to help with every aspect of it that we can.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
All right. Well, does anybody have any other questions? We'd love to answer them. If not, I suppose that will conclude this webinar. We have been recording it, as you know. We will put it out on the website so that if there's any information that you think, wait a minute, what were they talking about there? You can actually go back and pull it up and access it again. Or you can just reach out to us and ask us the question. We're here to help. We just want to make sure that this works for you, your situation, and all situations vary. So, direct contact and direct calls really helps us best help you. But I hope that everybody found this beneficial. I want to thank you for giving us of your time to participate in this. And with that, I'll turn it over to my other fellow hosts, Cash and Ed, and say thank you to everybody.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We appreciate the time and just super excited about the displays, the product that's been put together here, the way it's been packaged, the focus on safety, and the possibilities that it opens up. For what I mentioned earlier, the sense of community pride, especially with this being the 250th anniversary of the United States. It's exciting times, and we are confident that we have a product that is fitting and perfect timing for what's going on in our world today.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to thank everyone who attended and asked the amazing questions. It's been a great experience, and we're really excited to help America celebrate 250 years of this great nation. So thanks again, everybody.
All right. God bless America. Be safe.